So for today, I'm going to show you how I made this poster. So typically whenever I've done these kind of videos, I've tried to make it seem kind of live, where you're actually seeing me make something, make mistakes, and you see all the in-betweens and the pauses and the thought processes. But I was sick earlier this week and I've been really busy. And so I just haven't had a lot of time to just sit down and dedicate to doing all this and recording it. Honestly, I just don't really like doing it that way. So I thought I would do it just a little bit differently by recording the process and then just doing a voiceover over the clips so I can still explain what's going on. I just don't have to do it live, so I can cut out all of the little in-between kind of stuff and I can make it go a little bit faster, so hopefully it's not quite as boring. But with all that out of the way, let's get to designing. So the first step I took in making this design was to find a good photo and then start kind of laying it out. I saw a poster use a very similar idea a while back, and I kind of wanted just to try it for myself, where you would just take one photo, make different copies of it, stack them on top of each other or behind each other or on top, and then move them around slightly so you're seeing just slightly different parts of the image. For some reason, it stuck out to me, and so I just kind of wanted to try that for myself. So this is just me experimenting with that idea and trying to come up with something that I like. It took me a while to figure out exactly what I wanted to do. I was kind of switching between a black background, a white background, and a couple different gradient maps that I was using, but I eventually settled on a black background in this color gradient. And then really from there, once I kind of had everything set up and I had a general idea of the composition that I wanted to do, I really just kind of started bringing in some assets and some design resources that I just kind of thought might look cool. I've been reading David Carson's book, Second Sight, and in the book, it talks a lot about intuition. So that's what I was just trying to explore with this poster, where I wasn't trying to think too hard. I was just trying to just trust my guts, trust my intuition, and just put something together. But I also knew that I wanted to do some experiments with type. So a lot of the work that I've been looking at recently that I really enjoy has really been playing a lot with type. Different sizes, different weights, putting things on top of each other, farther away from each other. And really this is just me trying to experiment with that a little bit more than I typically would. So I just took my time in trying to experiment and try different things to come up with something that I liked. I even tried experimenting with distorting the text and blurring it and adding different effects, but nothing I did seemed to quite hit the way that just having it plain did. So I ended up just kind of sticking with that rather than trying to make everything more complicated than it really needed to be. But once I had the text in a spot that I was more comfortable with, I could start going back to the design and adding in other elements that I thought might kind of enhance the image, or just things that I just thought might look cool. I bought these new paint splatter brushes, so I was also just trying to experiment with those and seeing if I could come up with anything cool just to give it some texture and then make it not feel so grid-like. And then I realized that I wasn't quite happy with where the type was, so I made it a little bit bigger and I repositioned it a little bit bigger, and I think it turned out a little bit better than it was before. A lot of the lines and the type started lining up with the lines of the image or the lines of some of the other assets that I was using. So I feel like it was one of those happy accidents that really I could have never planned for, but worked out perfectly in my favor. And then after that, there was just a few other details that I wanted to add. So then I started to mess around with those. I really like adding numbers into my compositions. So I wanted to add the number of the poster design that I was working on, but I also wanted to do in a creative and fun way. So I ended up creating this block underneath heart that kind of cuts off the word. And then I put the number inside of that. And then I made a mask with that number and then took it out from the rectangle so that way you could see the photograph underneath. But having that big block felt a little bit empty. So then I just added another barcode on there just to kind of give it something else so it's not so bland. And that way it also doesn't take away too much attention from everything else going on. And then the final thing that I did was just add some texture, just so everything didn't seem so flat, and kind of make it a little bit more realistic, you know, like it was an actual poster and you can actually kind of feel the paper or the texture on it, just so it has a kind of feeling to it rather than looking so digital and not so real and intangible. And that's how I came up with this design. I feel like I've got a long way to go in terms of mastering the style, but experimenting with type and photography in this way was a lot of fun, and I really want to continue to do it. Overall, I'm really happy with how the poster came out, and I hope you guys are too. But let me know what you guys thought about the poster. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Was there something I could have done better? Was there something that you would have done differently? Let me know. Leave a comment. But if you found this video helpful or entertaining, I'd appreciate if you would check out the rest of my channel and then consider subscribing. I hope to see you in the next video.